This guy in Sydney, and I don't believe we're any different. This guy in Sydney was known.
Yep.
His Facebook page was trumpeting jihad the week before, etc., etc. He wasn't on a watch list. How on earth can you promote and convince us that we need extra precautions, new legislation, when there and here what's available isn't utilised properly?
Well, I can't talk about their law because I just don't know enough about it, although I think it's more far-reaching.
The principles are the same.
Yeah, more far-reaching. Well, in terms of our changes, they are and will be necessary. So, for instance, SIS haven't historically had the same powers under search and surveillance as the police, and that's because their legislation is very old. So when that legislation was put together, it didn't envisage a world that we have today in the sort of technological footprint that people leave today. So we've given them those powers, so it will be used. Secondly, this capacity for them in a 24-hour period to have a warrantless authority to start investigating is because they may have you under investigation. You may interact with someone who they all of a sudden realise they haven't seen before and turns up on the scene, and very quickly want to gather evidence as they backfill the warrant. Well, that actually will be used. Cancelling a passport for 3 years rather than 1 year and making you come back and prove why you should get it back will be used. So, look, in the end, it's like all of these things. There are a relatively small but still quite a large group, if you look at it, of people who at some point could do something bad. And the question is how intensive you get. Some very intensive, some unfortunately, we just don't have the resources to go and do that 24/7 with every single person that could present themselves as a threat.
So to put another way, what you're saying is there are, compared to the size of the population, there are relatively few, but considering the seriousness of it, well, there's quite a few.
If we put you under 24/7 surveillance through the SIS...
No, I'm just talking about the number of people in New Zealand who might be on a watch list considered to be of, shall we say, of interest?
Of interest, yeah. And so my point would be there would be granularity within the level of intensity of oversight. But what I'm saying is if we put you under 24/7 surveillance, that would require a lot more people than you think. Yeah, we sit around and think, oh, that's one or two people sitting outside the house or something. Mark my words, it's dozens and dozens and dozens of people.
Why?
Well, I asked those same questions myself. It's all to do with everything, everything from the electronic surveillance. It's just the whole 9 yards. You need people in all sorts of different places.
Speaking of such things, if you were in Tony Abbott's position, let's say you were the Prime Minister of Australia, or to bring it home,
sure.
We had a similar situation here. Tony Abbott wants answers.
Yeah.
What approach would you take to something like this?
I mean,
where the guy was patently an issue, but not even under observation.
Yeah, well, he will want answers, and we would want answers too. The one thing I will say to you, like all of these things, a hell of a lot happens in the day-to-day running of a country and of government. So if you take the Philip James Smith or whatever the guy was that did the runner overseas to Brazil, on the one hand, people say, outrageous. Fair enough. Got a point, actually. How the hell can the guy do that? On the other side of the coin, we deal with 8,700 prisoners. Quite a few who have day release for very different things, from working right through to this sort of end of term. It's just a big business.
All right.